Somewhere right now, a data broker website is refreshing its records. It knows your approximate address. It has a phone number tied to your name. It has assembled a rough map of your digital life from public records, social media activity, and location data sold by apps you installed years ago. This is not surveillance. This is the default state of existing online. But there is a parallel reality. Their home address is route to a limited liability company registered in Wyoming. Their phone numbers traced to a legal entity with no human name attached. Their private jets broadcast temporary transponder codes that cannot be linked to any registered owner. The data brokers that know your address have nothing on these people because these people paid someone to make sure of it. Privacy at this level is not a setting you toggle, it is an industry. Most people manage privacy themselves. A strong password, a private account, a VPN maybe. The ultra-wealthy hire a team, sometimes multiple firms, each handling a different layer of the same invisibility project. What follows is a map of that system, the legal structures, the digital removal services, the private intelligence firms, and the psychology behind why the richest people on earth spend extraordinary sums of money simply to not be found. If you like hidden billionaire systems, subscribe, because every episode goes deeper into the machinery that runs extreme wealth. Start with the most basic version of the problem. A billionaire sells a company. The transaction is public. Their name appears in the financial press. Within 72 hours, their home address is circulating online. Their children's school is being researched. Their daily route is being mapped by people they have never met. Security professionals who work in this space track the window between a public wealth event and the first spike in threat activity. It is often less than 3 days. So before a major deal closes, the serious players have already begun erasing the trail. The first layer is real estate. In the United States, property records are public by default. Anyone can search a county assessor's database and find who owns a given address. For someone whose net worth is widely known, that is a security liability. The solution exists entirely within the law. A home is purchased not by a person, but by a limited liability company. That LLC is owned by another LLC in a different state. The second LLC lists only a registered agent as its contact, a legal wall between the property record and any human name. Wyoming does not require member or manager names in its public filings. Search the state registry and you see a company name and an address. You do not see who owns it. That information exists, disclosed privately to federal authorities under the Corporate Transparency Act, but it is not searchable by the public. A $40 million estate in California can appear in every public database to be owned by a small business with no visible human behind it. Some ownership chains pass through 4 or 5 separate legal entities before connecting to any person's name. This is not a loophole. It is infrastructure designed specifically for this purpose, and it has been used this way for decades. Now move from property to identity. When a high-profile individual needs a new phone number, it is registered to a business entity. Virtual numbers, prepaid accounts in the name of holding companies, private communication systems managed entirely in-house, all serve the same purpose. Make the number impossible to reverse search to a name. The goal is friction. Make it difficult enough that most people simply stop. Right. The deeper work happens online. Most people associate reputation management with companies burying bad reviews. The version built for billionaires is something else. Top-tier firms begin with a full digital audit. Every mention of the client, data broker databases, court filings, archived news, real estate records, cataloged into a single document mapping the complete exposure. Then the removal begins. In the United States, data brokers operate under a patchwork of state laws with no single federal opt-out system. Requests must be filed individually, broker by broker, sometimes requiring notarized documentation. Consumer services like Delete Me and Incogni handle this for ordinary people at around $100 to $200 a year. The version available to billionaires operates at a different level of depth. Specialist firms maintain ongoing contracts because data brokers continuously re-aggregate from new sources. Information removed today reappears within months. Invisibility is not a destination, it is maintenance. There is a harder category to erase than data broker listings, news, a profile in a major publication, a court filing containing a home address, a decade-old article mentioning a spouse's name and city. These are indexed by search engines and do not disappear through standard removal. One strategy is content dilution. Firms create enough competing authoritative content around a client's name that problematic results are pushed to page 3 or 4. Most people never go past page 1. A result on page 4 is functionally invisible. In Europe, the right to be forgotten framework allows individuals to formally request that Google delist specific URLs from search results. Google received over 177,000 such requests from European countries in 2024 alone. Law firms and reputation companies now file a significant share of those on behalf of clients. For US-based individuals, no equivalent right currently exists. Some firms pursue similar outcomes through privacy law and targeted legal negotiation. It is slower, less certain, and far more expensive, which is part of why it remains the domain of people with very large legal budgets. If you want to understand the full legal architecture behind how the ultra-wealthy keep assets out of the public record, watch how billionaires hide their money next. Below the online layer is the intelligence layer. Private intelligence firms, some staffed by former CIA, MI6, and Mossad officers, now serve ultra-high net worth clients specifically. Their work is not physical security. Bodyguards are a separate function entirely. These firms monitor for a client's name appearing in contexts that suggest elevated risk, dark web forums, criminal networks, behavior patterns consistent with stalking, whether journalists are filing records, requests that touch the client's holdings. Kroll, one of the most recognized names in corporate intelligence with more than 5,000 employees across 140 countries, maintains a significant private client practice alongside its corporate work. Boutique firms founded by former intelligence officers operate at the very top of the market. According to Spears, the wealth management publication, retainers at the highest tier start at the equivalent of $50,000 per month for clients who want around-the-clock coverage. That does not include physical security. It covers only intelligence, the monitoring, the threat assessment, the early warning. Now, consider the example that looks most irrational from the outside. Private jet tracking. Jack Sweeney, a student at the University of Central Florida, built automated accounts tracking the real-time movements of private jets belonging to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and others. The accounts used exclusively public data, a DSB transponder signals that all modern aircraft broadcast continuously, combined with publicly available FAA ownership records. Musk's tracker gathered hundreds of thousands of followers. Musk offered Sweeney $5,000 to take it down. Sweeney declined. After acquiring Twitter in late 2022 and banning the account, Musk found that Sweeney had simply launched a replacement on a 24-hour delay. The FAA now operates two relevant programs. The LADD program restricts what flight data the FAA shares with third-party vendors. The PIA program, Privacy ICAO Address, in operation since 2019, allows operators to fly under a temporary transponder code not linked to their aircraft's registration. Under the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024, private aircraft owners can now formally request that ownership information be withheld from public-facing FAA databases entirely. None of these programs are foolproof. Independent ground-based receivers can still capture raw transponder data outside FAA feeds, but together, they make connecting a specific flight to a specific person significantly harder. What looks like excessive secrecy is, in context, a straightforward calculation. A public flight plan is a real-time broadcast of your location to anyone willing to watch. Three forces run beneath all of this. The first is asymmetric exposure. Normal people move through the world without their location constituting a threat surface. A billionaire does not. Kidnapping for ransom is a documented category of crime with a known correlation to visible wealth. The behaviors that look paranoid from the outside are calibrated responses to a threat environment most people will never experience. The second is time as capital. At this scale, an hour of diverted attention carries a real cost. Privacy infrastructure is not a luxury expenditure. It is an operational one. The third is generational architecture. A trust structure rooting a property through 4 holding companies is not just protecting the current owner, it is building a legal architecture designed to survive inheritance and the passage of decades. The invisibility is engineered to last. There is a question that sits underneath all of this, and it does not have a clean answer. When the most powerful people in the world can systematically exit the information environment that everyone else inhabits, when public records, property databases, and archived news work differently depending on how much money you have, what is actually being built? The tools used to report on power, scrutinize it, and hold it accountable rest on one assumption, that the people who accumulate the most influence are, at minimum, findable. The industry described here breaks no laws. It is available in principle to anyone who can pay, but the cost of access places it in the hands of a very small number of people. What functions the way accountability is supposed to function when the subjects of scrutiny have spent years and millions of dollars ensuring they cannot be found? The system is real, legal, and expanding, and the firms that offer these services grow year over year as more wealth is created and more high net worth individuals discover how exposed they become the moment their name attaches to a public event. The architecture of invisibility is not a conspiracy, it is an industry, and like most industries built at the intersection of extreme wealth and extreme risk, most people never learn it exists until they find themselves on the wrong side of it. At what point does the ability to buy your way out of the public record stop being a privacy right and start being something else? Next is how billionaires hide their money. Click it on screen. It changes how you see this world.